clubs, self-help groups, social work agencies, schools, prisons, hospitals, businesses, or industries. Complex organizations include public and private bodies. It could be a public, it could be a private body. Generally, their purpose is to coordinate people and resources in order to provide products and or services. You are going there as a social worker to provide services or products, whatever you are selling as a social worker. You may be selling a plan and or provide services. But this is at a group level. You will be invited to an industry as a speaker, as a trainer, as a social worker. In working at this level, generally, their purpose is to coordinate people and resources in order to provide products and or services. In working at this level, the focus of change is the group or organization itself rather than individual members. When you're working at this level, it's a collective responsibility. You want to change the attitude of the people of the organization, which may not have anything to do with changing an individual in his home or in his, in his own. But here, the focus is to change the organization. The collective way of doing things in that organization. That is what.
It's not just about what you receive when you're in heaven. It's about what you molded when you are on earth to receive the reward.
Thank you. So the purpose here, or the focus here, the focus of change is the group or organization itself, rather than individual members. The social work may act as a facilitator. The social worker may act as a facilitator who assists the functioning of the group or organization. This may involve creating or strengthening links among the members or the organization, facilitating group decision-making and evaluating programs. In general, social workers may provide resources such as consulting services, information, education, staff development, service planning, and evaluation. In this case, dealing with organizations like industries, you may be talking about the services of industrial social worker. But generally, you can be invited to other group, either as medical social worker, whichever way. But it is at the group level, dealing with complex organizations which include public and private bodies. So is anyone who has anything to ask on meso level of problem solving? Meso level, please. Anybody?
There's a message in the chat box. There's a message in the chat box.
Okay. I had to minimize that for me to. So I think group social work practices is at the meso level, not micro. That is Arinze. Thank you so much, Mr. Arinze. If you listen to what I've just said now, I also mentioned that issue of self-help group. But there is something that led to that group at the micro level. And that has to do with using, we also talk about families. If you look at that micro level, if you go back to that, you see we talk about family. It said individuals, family, and small groups. And we said the social worker can engage group method. Where is that now? Let me just look at it. That second paragraph, still at the micro level of practice, a group work approach can be used in helping individuals with common problems. We didn't say it's a complex organization. We didn't say it's an industry. But this is an approach to solve the problem of one person. This is an approach to solve. They can exchange ideas. You get it? Still at the micro level, paragraph 2 of practice, a group work approach can be used in helping individuals with common problems to meet their need. The social worker brings together a group of people who may be able to influence one another through sharing their experiences. And like I said, you may bring in somebody, who has experienced what a new person is just going through. And that's why I mentioned the issue of rookies and the veteran. Yes, primarily when you're talking about micro level, we talk about small. And that smallness starts from one person, starts with one person. Because the issue of micro, meso, and macro is talking about the size of the people you are relating with. You get it? When you're talking about a group, when you bring out 5 people together, 6 people together, it's not the same number of people you have in an organization. I don't know if I'm making sense, if I'm saying something, Mr. Arinze. Bringing 4 people together, it's still a group. Sharing the idea. Unlike when you go to an organization, either private or public. You get it? So that is the difference between the meso. Because you can't say you are addressing an organization and you have 5 people there. You have different departments. So that is a broader, it's a larger group when you compare to the group that social worker deals with when it comes to this group approach. I don't know if that is understood. Mr. Arinze.
Okay,
hello?
Right on, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So still talking about the meso level of problem solving. We said this could be is a larger group compared to macro level. Micro level is a larger group compared to micro level. And social workers may act as a facilitator who assist the functioning of the group or organization. This may involve creating or strengthening links among the members of the organization, facilitating group decision-making, and evaluating programs. In general, social workers may provide resources such as consulting services, information education, staff development, and service planning and evaluation. So that has to do with larger organization than that of micro. So the next one there is the macro level. We said when we are dealing with macro level, it has to do with community, society, and in most cases it has to do with influencing decision, decision making, policy formulation. That is at the level, the macro level, where social workers can as well function. The macro level refers to communities and societies, and macro level practices are aimed at social development and change in order to improve people's lives. Practice at this level reflects social work's values of social justice and its tradition of social reform. While the philanthropists of the 19th century were concerned with improving and uplifting the lives of the poverty-stricken and the powerless in the society, today social workers emphasize working in partnership with the oppressed or disenfranchised. Social workers might be involved in such issues as planning the delivery of social services or helping to resolve intergroup conflicts in a specific community. You can see this one is a broader. It's wider than that of Meso. They might also be involved in international concerns such as human rights, world poverty, and the protection of the environment. The goal of all these activities is the promotion of social justice through community and social change. Often, social workers need to walk their way through the various levels of intervention, from the micro to macro levels, in addressing the concern of individuals and groups in society. Remember that at whichever level they work, whether with individuals, groups, or an community, problems are identified in relation to the interaction and transaction between people and their environment. What is that saying to us now? That what we bring out problem, there won't be any problem without interaction. That is what that is saying. Either interaction with individuals or interaction with the environment. It could be as a result of flood, that interaction with the environment. Interaction with the environment can also talk about the issue of ozone layer being eaten up. You get it? That's interaction with the environment. So what will bring problems, we social workers, we have to attend to, whether be interaction with people around us or interaction with our environment. Those are the things that will always lead to problems. You get it? Either interaction with individuals, our relationship with individuals, or our relationship or interaction with our environment. That is what will always lead to problem. Interaction with husband and wife, interaction with parents and children, interaction with, you get it, or interaction with environment. People who are pouring dirt in the drainages, and by the time the flood starts, it is interaction with the environment. That is just that. Drawing on their holistic approach and awareness of both persons and environment, social workers may help clients find solutions to their problems from within themselves or from the environmental context, or both. So if it is a problem with individuals, they may call them together and solve the problem. Or if it's the environmental problem, they will still have to look for how to solve the problem. Maybe, okay, educate people. You don't pour dirt in the drainages. You don't, they have to look for either to resolve the issue between people, among people, or to resolve problem between people and the environment. Now, we want to look at, okay, is there anybody having any question with that? Let me also see if there is any question, please. Any question?
Yes, I have a question, sir.
Okay,
thank you, sir. On this macro level, you're talking of social justice, attending to things in a macro level internationally. I don't know how a social worker can really attend to this stuff. Does it have to do with you? Because I think attending to these stuff will take, I think it should be capital intensive.
When you talk about macro level, I'm talking about international issue. Remember, we have international social work. We have a body. Do you remember that, sir?
Yes, yes.
So this is, they will only pick up issues that is affecting the globe. You get it?
Yes.
Like when you talk about social problems, these are issues that is affecting the generality of people, like we said during the course of this topic, social problems. So when you talk about global problem, global issue, okay, let's leave International Federation of Social Work out of it. When there is financial problem in the world, you see IMF, you see World Bank, isn't it?
Yes.
When there is problem in Nigeria financially, we call CBN, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So even when CBN is addressing the financial problem in Nigeria, it is still at macro level. And if it's a global issue, like the problem of COVID-19, International Federation of Social Work contributed their quota to it too. And that is at the macro level. It is social work that is talking. There are people, there are social workers working at that level. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So it is not an individual that is, okay, I want to address the issue of injustice in the world. But whatever International Federation of Social Workers are doing, it is we that we are doing it, except you are not a member and you should be a member. Whatever they are doing, we are doing it. That is at the macro level. I don't know if that is understood, sir.
So how can we become a member?
We will talk about that one later.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Anthony Wanze, I can see your hand up. Mr. Wanze.
Yes, sir. I don't know if you can hear me. I want to just contribute to the question raised by Mr. Shola.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
This is an aspect. There was a time we facilitate with the current government for what they are doing for us at the Chartered Institute of Social Work, and I responded to that basically to say no. The institute has been on before this government, and that the gap we have in Nigeria is social workers responding at the macro level. And at the macro level, it's all about policy change. For example, most of social workers in Nigeria, we deal with individuals, we deal with people with problems. And we know that the root cause of this problem is policies that are not people's friendly. For example, if you see the number of social workers versus the number of people in poverty, people with disability, people that have problems, is so huge that we cannot produce enough social workers that will be working at the macro level to be able to respond to those issues. So the idea of macro social work is that how can we work with the parliament? How can we work with the government? How can we work with policies to ensure that they enact policies, for example, that gives identify vulnerable family at the local government level and provide some resources rather than the trader women, all these policies that the government is doing and they are using it to support party faithful in the country. So the gap at the macro level is that social workers can look at how can we help government to say, come, this policy cannot work if you are targeting the most vulnerable people. Because if we're able to work at the macro level, you see a lot of people will benefit rather than at the micro where we need to be dealing with individuals. If we get policy right, if our advocacy is so strong, if government is coming out, for example, practically in Nigeria, the university loan fund, government have said they have released billions of naira, and the students have said that they are not getting the money. This is policy somersault, even though the policy is good. So social workers at the macro level are supposed to be like advocates to work with government to see how these processes can reach the most vulnerable people. And at the end of the day, rather than dealing with 1 or 10 people, you can have a policy that impacts a whole lot of population, a whole lot of people, and that is also very good for social work intervention. Thank you. Just to add that to the contribution.
Thank you, sir. And that is where the Chartered Institute of Social Work Practitioners comes in, because it is a body that has been identified by the federal government in Nigeria. So I could remember they've had so many, at least with the house in Abuja, where the president, Professor Oluwayemisi Obasoro John, addressed pressmen. And recently, I also read in the newspaper that that is at that level. It is not an individual like you or like myself that will say, okay, I want to do this. But because we belong to a body, and whatever that body is doing in influencing the policy of the government, we are the one doing it at the macro level. So that is how we operate at the macro level. So thank you, Mr. Anthony, for that contribution. Then Madam Praise, Mercy Praise, Barrister Mercy Praise. Hope I'm correct. Your hand is up too, yeah?
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for your lecture. It's very, very understanding.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, members of the class, for the opportunity given to us. Yeah, the issue that Mr. Mwanze raised, I work in academic institution, and there are children that are here. They are, when you talk of poor of the poor, then government now said they are going to give loans. The national orientation arm of the government did not disseminate information enough how these children can successfully access this loan. Again, the condition given for such loan is such that before they could access it, is like climbing the mountain top, which some of them do not have anybody who at the level the government is requesting to access that loan. As we are talking now, we are still in a situation where some people cannot resume school because they are not able to afford, where community have to come in to contribute to pay the school fees. So as a social work body, which is being represented by the institute, is there anything presently on the table to address this student poverty? Is a national issue, and some of them we take to Yahoo, some of them we take to other means, and some girls that are highly vulnerable we take to some other ways that are not good for them, while some few will just go out there. They what is it, aching? Some of them they are bus conductors, some of them they wash plates at canteen. At the end of the day, they're not even reading their books. So how do we, as the body, as the institute, if there is anything being done, please let it be speed up, because many will drop out of school very soon. Very soon, because the school fees are being increased to reflect the operative inflation as regard with university operations. Please, sir, I want to know. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Oh, network.
Yeah, maybe his network has dropped.
Now, wow. Hello, sir.
Yeah, maybe Mrs.
Hello, sir.
Niete can ask a question before.
Hello.
Network. The network.
I think he has network.
Oh,
yeah.
The lecturer is. Our lecturer is talking you to. Our lecturer.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I said I muted my mic so everybody could hear you. That's why I muted my mic.
Okay.
So sorry. Now I'm back. Fine. You know, from last week, it's like we've changed the title of this course to case study. You know, that is what we call case study analysis, and we are bringing up different cases in this class now, like we did last week. Fine. It is an issue. It is true. There are so many policies. Nigeria is the best when it comes to policy formulation, but we are the worst when it comes to policy implementation. I'm not in the position to tell you now what the institute is doing, because this is just a lecture. Fine, we incorporated cases, and what we are doing, talking about the macro meso level, is, you know, related to the issue that is going on in Nigeria. Fine, like you said, like you identified, Madam Mercy praised, it is the institute at this level that is representing social workers in Nigeria that need to do something. And I'm telling you, I'm going to put down this very question. And again, even the lecture is being recorded, which I know the pro tem secretary will also listen to the class. Yeah, to know what we are doing as a body at this macro level, where policy can be influenced. This is where, because it is not always good that we hear that social amount of money has been, assigned to a particular project and nothing is gotten out of it. It is true, but in this class, it is not, within my, how will I put it now, purview to say, okay, this is what the institute is doing. This is what the institute is not doing. And I strongly believe and I hope that people like you will be around during the international conference that is coming up in November in Enugu. These are the issues that can come up. These are the issues that can come up by the time you are fragmented into different sections. These are questions that we can, what is the institute doing? Yes, at the micro level, we are trying, even at the meso level, but how are we influencing policies that will positively affect the generality of the population in Nigeria? I think that is where that will be settled. But what we are dealing with here is how, problems are being, solved based on micro, meso, and macro level. And I think that will be nice. Our Barrister Mercy prays, I hope you'll be around during November in Enugu. It's not far. I don't know where you are. I believe you are.
I am in Lagos, sir.
Oh my God. Please begin.
I am in Lagos.
You just need to get your flight down to Enugu. I would like to see you there. I would like
let's see how it goes, because that's the peak period in my schedule of duty for preparation for January convocation for the final year students.
Which school is that?
But University of Lagos.
Okay, UNILAG.
Yes, I am a faculty officer of Faculty of Education.
Oh my good God, that's a nice one. Okay, no problem. God will make way for you. We can see hands up. Okay, now Aniete Asuko left to you. Next to you after that, Mr. Enes. In fact, we are glad having you today because you will have gone to sleep. But thank God you are around today.
Yeah. I'm still around.
Not you, Mrs. Mercy. I'm talking about Mr. Ernest.
Okay,
so, Mr. Aniete, can we hear from you?
Mr. Nice. Yes, good afternoon, sir. Hello,
okay,
good afternoon. Hello.
Sorry, Mrs. Anete. Sorry. Okay, we are hearing from you.
Good afternoon, please.
Good afternoon.
Actually, the question I wanted to ask, you said something about it partly. I've been battling with network. I've not heard much of the lectures. It has been off and on. So I was trying to ask to find out, how do I get these lectures? Because it's only that phase. Hello, yes. It's only that first week lecture, that first week we started that I could re-listen to. Other days when I click the links, they will still get me back to the first one. So I wondered whether the subsequent ones are no longer recorded.
They are there.
So how do I get to?
They are there, and if you are not getting
it, how will I be able to? Because each time I click.
Did you still give it the older one?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Only the first week, that first weekend that I was. Okay. So I don't know whether it has a different different. It will still take me back to the downloaded day one. Okay.
Okay, Mrs. Anete.
Thank you very much. So we are grateful. We are grateful for these lectures, for your explanation, the way you take time to explain for us. God bless you, sir. And even these case studies for us that are novice on this line, in this field. Thank you, sir. And thank you, esteemed colleagues, for all your contributions.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Mrs. Anete. I will speak with the man in charge of the IT. I will speak with him to check if the subsequent lectures were not recorded. But I know I OK the recording button here. So I can tell him to make available again all the subsequent lectures. I will do that. I will tell the man in IT to help us do that, to help us make that available. The next is Mr. Ernest.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Ernest Okayodu, I'm here. Been a while, but you told
yeah.
I've been asking you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for the lectures and everything. I really enjoy your lectures. That is why I'm still awake till this time of day. This is morning here. This is around after 12 in the morning, but it's fine. Concerning the conference coming up in Enugu, how about those of us that won't be able to make it? Hello? Oh my God. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Ernest. Can you hear me now?
Okay. I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Yeah.
My question is,
some of
us, yeah, okay.
I had your question.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay,
My
the second one.
question is, yeah, I've got another question again. Like here in Australia, the practice, we've got what we call mandatory reporting. That's a direct line from the social work controlling body here. A process where you see something that is not right, maybe a child is being maltreated, you don't feel like approaching that family directly, you ring the line. When you ring the line, you give them the address of where the child lives, you tell them little things, you can report it anonymously, nobody knows your name, just give them the information they need, then they will send somebody. However, these programs work effectively with the law of the land, because if we don't have a law that covers what we do here, we may not have the statutory rights to operate the level that people will expect us to perform. So I want to know what the professional body, the Nigerian Chartered Institute, is doing towards influencing the government to inculcate most of the laws that will govern this practice, because the job is very, very, it's a bit challenging. Let me just use that word. It's challenging here, like in Australia here. Social workers, yeah, we've all gone gray hair because of the stress we pass through every day. The caseload is just unbelievable. We don't have enough social workers to work here. So what is the professional body doing to influence the government to enact laws that will promote the practice in Nigeria? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ernest. The first question, please, I'm coming, I'm choked.
No worries.
The first question you asked about the conference.
Yes, sir.
The institute, the Chartered Institute in Nigeria, asks November as the end of their year.
Okay.
And the new year starts with this, our new year starts in December. I'm talking about the Chartered Institute.
Yes, sir.
So the last program of the year always come up in November, and that is when we have international conference.
Okay.
And again, for those who are doing their SWPCE now, like somebody like Mr. Wanze told me that he will be in Nigeria around September or thereabout. For example, in Lagos State, in Enugu, and maybe northern parts of the country, we have something like regional, what's it called now? Oath taking, even before the central one, the national, the international conference. In Enugu, we did for some people before the international conference. In Lagos State, they did for some people before the international conference last year. And I think in Abuja, they did for some people before the international conference. It's being zoned like that, southwest, east. So south, sorry, that is west for Lagos, Abuja for the north, and Enugu for the east. That is for those people that will not be able to attend the international conference, but they have already completed their SWPCE. So when that will be coming up is what I don't know, maybe around September, October, for those three, regions, if they be coming around.
Okay, sir.
In Oshobo, because it was taken to Osun State last year, and that was in Oshobo. And this year, it's been taken to Enugu. So if those people be around September or thereabout, maybe in Enugu State or in Lagos State, they will decide when it will hold their zonal, what's it called, oath taking, for those that will not be able to attend the international conference. Mrs. Mercy, praise, don't use that as a window not to come to Enugu, because I said they're going to have in Lagos. That's not an opportunity for you to stay where you must come. So you get it. So for that, 3 regions, they can come together, attend whichever. And those regions will be posted even on the platform. Lagos, Enugu, and Abuja, I think that will be done. Then on what is the institute doing, I'm telling you, I know some of my colleagues here that have done so many things like that, like a lady that was being maltreated. The woman went to the police station with record, with facts, and told them, because they have social work desk, even in police station. They have social work desk. So reported the case to the person in charge, and they went to the house, brought the lady, the girl out, and arrested even the man and the woman that were maltreating this girl. Yes, as a social worker, we don't make arrests. We are not police. We are not law enforcement agents. But we can help them by telling them or by telling them what they are not seeing and give them the right information. They will do their own investigation and do the right thing. Like you said in Australia, though nothing comes to us, like something is going to you there, special wages is going to you, but nothing comes to us. But we give information just to make sure that those people that have been maltreated are saved from such maltreatment. I think that is in place. But by and large, I believe that collectively, the institute still needs to come together. Still need to put a common front to influence policies in Nigeria, especially that we make life better for the downtrodden in Nigeria. Yes, because that is what the discipline is all about, just to speak for those who doesn't have voice, to speak for the voiceless, and to make life worthy of living for people in the society. Yes, that is what the profession is all about. And like Mr. Enes just said, since you have shortage of social workers, let's just graduate here. Maybe you carry all of us to Australia. So you no longer have shortage of social workers in Australia. I think that's. Then there's another. The person that posted it on the platform I belong, I said, hope you have not started seeing the effect of what's it called now? Learning theory, social learning theory, like what Bandura said, because what they are watching on the internet, on the social media, might be taking toll on them. We know that Australia is peaceful, but what we are seeing now is something else. So that is just that. So I think we can just continue with the lecture. Yes.
Sorry.
Okay, Azeda, Juliet, see?
Yes, sir. Sorry. This the answer that you gave to Mr. Enes, I just remember something I've been wanting to ask.
Okay.
There was a case of a rape in my community sometime last year. So, and as at that time, I was 7. So I called one NGO like that because the family, they were looking for help. Was the person that raped the young girl, I think about 16-year-old girl. So the man that raped the girl was a native doctor. So allegedly supported by the Igwe, was backed by the Igwe or so. So along the line, when the NGO, for me, I didn't have the much power to do anything for them. So I had to give it to people that I felt that could help them out. So along the line, when they were, because it was the father of the girl that they were communicating with, I used to go there too. When they call me, I go to the place and all of that. At a point, the father said he wants to drop the case. What happened was the people that first reported the issue went to the police. The police came and arrested the people that reported instead of arresting the person that is responsible for the act. And so we know these things happen. Maybe the perpetrator has somebody that has somebody, all those stuff. So because you said you report to the police and then wait for the police to make the arrest, that's why I'm asking this question. So along the line, they were threatened and all of that. Okay, in cases where these police that were supposed to report to are not doing what we feel that they are supposed to do, what do social workers do? Or they just let the case die like that? And again, because they say it's not that you want to help somebody, does the person want help? But wanting to help somebody is one, the person accepting that help is another one. So now that at first they agreed they were looking for help, along the line, maybe due to threat and all of that, they now said, we don't want this help anymore. What do we do?
Well, as Nigeria, what you have just said now, it's very, very possible in Nigeria. And that is the problem we haven't seen apart from social work. It is only those who believe that they are larger than life. You can see somebody that is being backed up by the Igwe. And at the end of the day, for the father to have said that he wanted to drop the case, if you ask him further, they must have been sending some threats, warnings to him. Threats, drop this case, drop that case. But in an ideal situation, because what you have just presented now is the real situation. That's what we call ideal and real situation. Ideal situation is what you have just explained now. Ideal situation, go to the police or go to the agencies that are responsible for, there are some, is it FIBA now? Association of Female Lawyers, things like that. That's another body that can take up such case. FIBA is doing well in the area of rape and, assaulting young ladies and women generally. FIBA is doing well. You could have given the man another option if the police fail to do that. But the story still remains the same, or the issue still remains the same. They can still do something to hurt the man because he lives in that community. That's why I'm saying anything is possible in Nigeria. Because this is the same step Mr. Ines said they will have taken in Australia, and the government will have taken, the right step or the right decision. But we are doing the same thing in Nigeria, and we are not getting the same result. The same people who are meant to be arrested, were left, and those who reported the case were arrested. Mr. Ines, please, can you help us? Is that possible in Australia? Or Mr. Anthony Anwanze, is that possible in Ireland?
Okay.
Never. It can never happen like that here.
And it is the same step we are taking. But here, Nigeria is something else. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
The same step. What we are told in university here is what you are saying in Nigeria. All the lecturers here, what we are told in school here is what you are telling us on this platform. The difference is just government policy.
Implementation.
implementation and people obeying the law. That is the biggest issue we have back home. People obeying the law, because I have been in a situation where a senator in Nigeria who's a friend, he does whatever he wants to do. He doesn't listen. He does just, I said, look, my brother is somehow. Whereas here, you come here, the governor, you see the governor walking down to the shop. After buying, the governor will be on the queue to pay. Not that the gap is not much. Where the governor is where anybody can eat. In fact, if I tell you what I do, if you go online now, you will see my salary, the job I do, you see the salary is online. There is no negotiation. If I'm looking for a job, I say, okay, I'm looking for a job of 120,000 per annum. That is the section I will look for. So if I tell you I work as so in a council or in a hospital, you don't have to ask me how much I earn. The salary is on, you know how much I earn. So things are so organized that the practice here, even though it's stressful because of the issues, the social issues here, everything is in place. You don't have to do much. Like if you are doing casework, you do your casework, you make referral, you push the job up to the agency that will respond to the person's needs. It doesn't take you anything. Like I've got a caseload of almost 60, which is beyond anybody. It's above what we're supposed to have because we don't have enough staff. But you find out that I go to office, you come to me, I do your case, I refer you out. I push everybody to where they're supposed to go.
That's
Because
supposed to be.
the law empowers us to do that without any stress.
Thank you, sir.
That is why the profession might be stressful, but we still have a place to say, look, this is the much we can do. It's a very
Thank you
nice
so much,
profession.
sir.
I've enjoyed being a social worker in Australia here and New Zealand. It's just
That's a
the
good one.
law must be on ground for this profession to move. The law must be respected. That is how the profession is. So if that is why sometimes I struggle. All this effort the lecturers are doing, reading books, saying the right words, how would they transform the society in their own little way? The law has to be adjusted to reflect on the profession, sir. On this note, I will be going to bed this early morning here, sir. And
Thank you so
very
much,
much.
sir. I really appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So from what we have said so far, you can see that the ideal thing is what we are doing, but the reality in Nigeria is that there are some people that believe that they are above the law. Meanwhile, in developed nations, nobody is above the law. But in Nigeria, people are above the law. A police will say I will kill you and nothing will happen. You get it? And these are the people who are meant to protect lives. They are the same people taking lives. You get it? You know, it's a matter of the highest bidder. You go to a police station that they should come and make arrests. At the end of the day, you are the one that will be arrested. And once you are arrested, they will ask you to provide all the evidences you have. If not, you will not be released. By giving them all those evidences, they destroy it and you don't have anything against that person again. So that is where we have found ourselves. But that doesn't mean that we are going to keep quiet. We are not going to keep quiet. Yes, until we see what we want. We know one day we will get it right. We will get there too. That the law of the land, you know, when they're talking about what's it called now? Rule of law. That everybody is equal before the law. At times I laugh. Equality before the law, I laughed. Because you can't say that in Nigeria. You can say you heard what Mr. Ines said. He said the same shop where the governor will buy, he will be on the queue. Not in Nigeria. Not in Nigeria. But we hope one day we will get there. So that is just it. What you have done is the ideal thing. Is the ideal thing is the procedure you need to follow. But they squash it. That's the problem we have. So, okay, let's continue, please. Because I want us to finish this course today. Okay, we're done. So just want to look at example using the macro, the meso, and the macro level. A woman who has been battered and seek a social worker's help may initially need help on an individual level in trying to assess her existing situation and plan her future. This may involve the social worker in working with her to help her develop a sense of self-esteem, as well as working with her family or other support networks. In addition, the social worker may organize groups for battered women to come together. The first one, when the social worker is relating with that woman, is still at micro level, and still organizing this group of battered women. We can still see it as still a macro level. In addition, the social workers may organize groups of battered women to come together and discuss their common problems. Through this group experience, individuals could gain strength and help one another to deal with their particular situations. They may decide to form a mutual aid or self-help group and could consult with a social worker regarding the focus of an educational program. Some groups could campaign for women's shelter to be established to protect women and give them a refuge. The social worker may at this same time also be involved in empowering women generally to campaign for changes in the law aimed at protecting them from attack and their husband or partners. This paragraph has talked about moving from micro to meso and to macro. If you look at the last one, it said the social worker may at this time also be involved in empowering women generally to campaign for changes in the law. That has taken us to the macro level. But see where it started from. It was a problem with an individual woman. Hello? If you look at it from the beginning, it was an issue with a single person. It was an issue with a single person. So we move from that single person level to the meso level, whereby we have women who were battered, that form an association. That form an association of women who are battered. You get it? But from there, from that association, we now move to policy formulation or influencing of policy. And that has taken off from the first stage of micro to meso, and from meso to that of macro. That's just an example. In the example given here, the social worker uses a holistic approach to the problem of wife battery. This approach is summarized below. So we're going to see it now, how this holistic approach simply means using both micro, macro, meso, and macro. That is holistic, bringing everything together. Now, example, a woman who has been abused seeks social work help. That is what? Micro level, an individual. A woman that was battered seek social work help. She's operating at the micro level, an individual, or the individuals. The individual, e.g., battered woman seeking and receiving help for ourselves. That is families. It is still under what? Micro level. Okay, when you bring it to family counseling could include the woman who is being abused, our husband, our children, and any other member of the household or extended family. That is family level. You have taken it from an individual trying to seek help. That is an individual, the woman who went to a social worker trying to find help. That's an individual level. By the time we involve our families, our husband, our children, and other family members, extended family members, we have moved to family level, and it is still at micro level. Then small groups, like I said, individual, family, and small groups form the micro level. So we move from individual to family, and from
I have
family
a question. How do you turn down the volume of this TV? Please,
madam, mute your mic, please. Mute your mic, please. Thank you. So when you see individual, families, and small groups, all of them are under micro level. When you see the small groups, they're using groups to help individuals, e.g. abuse women, when men who abuse, children who live in situation of domestic violence. All these that you are relating, you are gathering together, they still form the small groups that we can bring under micro level. So for you to move from the micro level to the meso level, moving from micro level to meso level, this is formal groups now. Formal group, that is when you call complex organization. Consulting with a self-help group established by battered women to develop a program which will meet their needs. Now it has become a formal group. It has been established, Association of Battered Women. It has now become a formal group, a complex organization. It is no longer an informal group that just gather women who are battered. Now it's an association. So that has brought us from micro to meso. Consulting with a self-help group established by battered women to develop a program which will meet their needs. That is a meso level. Sally Uyabo, please mute your mic. Aderonke, thank you.
yes.
I've done that for you here. So when you move to macro level, then that is talking about society. Talking about society. Changing policies and laws, e.g. laws which affect women and community. So every question that you ask today centered on the role of the institute to function at the macro level. Policy, changing or influencing policy. That is it. Changing policies and laws, e.g. laws which affect women. Under macro level, you still talk about community, engaging people with common problems as a collective in struggling for changes in the law and for the allocation of new resources or environmental support, women's shelter. It is still talking about policy, influencing policy formation, and that is community. That talks about that. When social workers intervene at all levels, that is micro, meso, and macro. When social workers intervene at all levels, we say that they are using an integrated approach in which all the methods were being integrated. So that's what we call integrated approach. When social workers intervene at all levels, micro, meso, and macro, then that is integrated approach. The term client system is used to show that the clients may be an individual, a family, a group, or a community. When you mention a client system. That means in that system, it could be an individual, it could be a family, it could be a small group, it could be an organization, and it can as well be a community or a society. That is when the word cleanse system is used. The problem-solving process is used at all cleanse system levels. Either you are dealing with macro, micro, meso, or macro. You use problem-solving process. That is, identify the problem. Okay, you first identify there is a problem. Then what is responsible for the problem? Then you talk of different approaches, to resolve the problem. Then you pick one of the approaches you have identified. Then it will be implemented. Then after being implemented, you look at the outcome. This is, talking about problem-solving process. There is one we call 6 steps to problem solving. 6 steps to problem solving. I think I have it in this material. Our social workers trying to give solution on the basis of scientific theory and methods by using social work method, principles, theory, skills, techniques, tools, and through that help to the individuals, group, and community to improve their lives and lead them good and satisfied lives. Thus, we will have to make statements of problems and try to get solution accordingly. Now, as a social worker, you just have this for yourself. What is a problem? Is it a problem? How to recognize a problem? Why problems arise? What are the root causes for problems? Because in you following these 6 stages of problem solving, you need to know all this. What are the root causes of problem? How to quit from these problems? How these problems impact on lives of the people? Are people trying to come out of these problems? Or is people trying to come out of these problems? How to get solution from these problems? What are the sources needed to solve these problems? All this you must ask yourself, by the time you are going through these problem solution stages. Is there really a problem? So identify there is a problem. Then what is the root cause or causes of the problem? So you can see all these questions you are asking yourself will help us when we get to that 6 models, 6 stages of problem solving. Now we come to how do social workers actually go about helping people? How do we go about helping people as social workers? How do we go about helping people as social workers? The helping process used in social work is guided by problem-solving model. 6 stages problem-solving models. This model provides a systematic, sequential, or step-by-step framework to guide the helping process. It is not something you just want to use from your own brain. It is, you start from number 1 to number 6. The first step in the problem-solving model involves identifying and defining the problem, a trouble situation or event, a troubling situation or event. In order to develop an understanding of it, often the troubling situation which prompts the client to come for help, referred to as the precipitating problem or event, is not the real problem. And the real problem or underlying problem situation is only revealed as the situation is explored more fully. Because if the woman said, my husband is beating me, it might not be that the husband beating me is a problem. There could be an underlying issues that led to the husband beating. So what the person has brought to you might not be the problem you are seeing. So as a social worker, you must be good at probing, asking probing questions that will give you true picture of what has actually happened. So that might not be the problem. You get it? The real problem, and the real problem, underlying problems, is only revealed as the situation is explored more fully. While exploring the problem with the client, the social worker needs to develop a warm, accepting relationship. You know, we said this even last week, that as a social worker, you need to form a good relationship with your client. You need to form a good relationship with your client. And the same thing is repeated even in this aspect. We say, why with the client, the social worker needs to develop a warm, accepting relationship within which potential solutions are considered. You need to develop a good relationship with your client too, which will enable your client to open up to you and get the real information from him or from her. So you need to have that, good rapport with your client, because you only depend on that for you to determine your intervention for such problem that has been brought to you. I'm coming, sorry. Within which potential problem solutions are considered. Possible outcomes and their anticipated consequences are weighed against one another. So by the time you are coming up with different solutions, with your clients, can we consider this? Can we consider this? Can we consider this? You still need to weigh the negative side of each of them that you are coming up with. You need to weigh them, anticipate consequences, and weigh against one another. And a decision is made to the best course of action to follow in order to reach a resolution of the problem. So you don't take decision for your client. You both discuss and arrive at a logical conclusion and tell him the sides of the two or of the options you are giving to her or him. It empowers them to solve their own problem. That is it. By the time you involve them in finding solutions to the problem, it makes them to involve in solving their own problems. It helps them to what? To involve in solving their own problem. So you cannot take decision just for your client, because at the end of the day, we say, yes, you took the decision for him or for her. So involving them in that, it empowers them to solve their own problems. Social workers should not impose their values or solution on clients. Have you heard that? You don't impose on them. You have to arrive at it together. So tomorrow you won't say, yes, the man said, or the woman said. It has to be, we agreed. He told me the size, the both sides of the solution, decision we are taking. Rather, a client should be involved in the whole process, since the more of the client is involved in solving his or her own problems, the more likely it is that the solution arrived at will be workable solution. Since he or she is involved in taking that decision, definitely the tendency of taking a workable solution is high. By following this approach, the social worker is not only helping the client to resolve the particular problem which has been presented, but is also teaching the client a model of problem solving in the future. The role of the social worker is to recognize that individuals have strengths and competencies. Individual, that's why we talk about you must understand the strength, the capacities of your strength, of your clients rather. And here we said the role of social worker is to recognize the individuals have strengths and competencies or abilities which enable them to direct or take control of their own lives. The social worker's aim is to help people become responsible, and this aim is achieved not by exercising power or by being manipulative, but by gently yet firmly discussing expectations and goals. Firmly, you must be firm, but not you are manipulating the person. You firmly, gently yet firmly discussing expectations and goals. The aim is to enable clients to develop their own potential competencies so that as individuals, they are able to interact positively with the environment. It is important that rather than adopting an attitude of knowing what is best for the client, the social worker focuses on assisting the client to participate in developing alternatives, to make decisions from alternatives, and to implement these decisions by using a problem-solving approach. To helping social workers aim to ensure that clients are respected and given maximum freedom and autonomy in directing the helping process. So that is what we have seen as social worker. You don't impose, on your clients. You don't impose on them. Let them participate. So a problem-solving model. These are the 6 stages to problem-solving model, like I said before. The approaching the steps. Problem-solving model. Number 1, identify, define, and assess the problem. In this first step of the problem-solving process, the social worker enables clients to tell their story. You enable them to tell their own story. The story is their own, not your own. This involves helping clients to describe their problems in terms of their current experiences, feelings, and thoughts. It helps to clarify all aspects of the problem situation, including who else is involved and which aspects of the social environment are important. It is also important at this stage to be clear about who specifically is involved in any particular aspect of the problem or situation. That is, who owns the problem. Now, both the person and the broader social context of the problem must be considered. What are the conditions surrounding the problem and the person? Both the person and the broader social context of the problem must be considered. And the problem should be defined in terms of the interaction between the persons and the social environment. The focus of the problem and education should be the client system strength and competencies. The social workers and the client need to arrive at a mutually agreed upon definition of the problem. Both of you must agree, okay, this is this. So does that mean this is this? Does that mean, okay, that means this is what is causing this? You must be able. You don't arrive at it. It is what you are told that you will work with or work on. The social worker needs to use skills of attentive listening. We talk about it from the beginning. The social worker needs to use skills of attentive listening, clarification and reflection of feelings to help the client develop a clear definition and understanding of his or her situation. The following is an example of an interaction between a social worker and a client. Let's call her Susanna. Priscilla, please mute your mic. We want to look at an example. The following is an example of an interaction between a social worker and a client. Let us call the name of the client Susanna as they work towards identifying and defining the client's problem. Now look at it. This is the problem. Susanna bursts into tears as she tells the worker that her husband has left her and she has no money to buy food for her children. The social worker responds by saying, "You are feeling heartbroken and lost because your husband has left you and you don't know who to turn to for help." This kind of response from the social worker shows the client that the social worker is trying to understand the problem situation from the client's point of view. The social worker's ability to perceive and communicate accurately and with sensitivity the feelings of the clients and the meaning of those feelings is termed accurate empathy. It is termed what? Accurate empathy. The social worker's ability to perceive and communicate accurately and sensitively the feelings of the client and the meaning of those feelings is termed accurate empathy. Just what she has in mind is what you are saying. You are interpreting it exactly the way she's feeling. That is what we call accurate empathy. Together with warmth, that is acceptance, liking, commitment, and unconditional regard. All these form warmth. Together with warmth, under warmth you have acceptance, liking, commitment, and unconditional regard. And genuineness. The genuineness is made up of openness, spontaneity, and sincerity. These are the skills necessary for developing helping relationships. Talking about empathy, warmth, and genuineness. These are the skills necessary for developing relationships. Successful relationships building help to establish mutual trust and confidence. Once you have succeeded in developing these relationships, so we say successful relationship between the client and the social worker help to establish mutual trust and confidence and an environment that is conducive to change. An environment that is conducive to change. It is important that the client and the social worker work together to understand the nature of the problem and how best to reduce its impact. How best to reduce its impact. This aspect of the helping process is often referred to as assessment. Assessment. And this assessment consists of what? One, an appraisal of the situation, an evaluation of client's ability to deal with the situation, talking about the strength and the capacity of your client. Then again, definition of the problem. This is done at this level of assessment. This is done at the level of assessment, appraisal of the situation, evaluation of the client's ability to deal with the situation, and definition of the problem. All these are done at the level of assessment. Number 2, after defining the problem, then consider possible solutions. Consider positive solutions. Consider possible solutions. As the social worker and client continue to explore the problem, and as their understanding of the problem deepens, possible solutions to the problem become apparent. The client and the social worker try to generate as many solutions as the problem as possible, as many solutions to the problem as possible. That is trying to consider solution to the problem. You don't just pick one and say, okay, this is the solution. With the client and the social worker, they try to generate as many solutions to the problem as possible. The aim of this part of the problem-solving process is to generate a whole range of possibilities. Some of the suggestions may conflict with values held by the client. Maybe when you say somebody should do something, oh, Oga, I think that is against my belief, it's against my religion. It may conflict with the values of the client, the worker or the organization which the worker represents. It may also contradict the value of the, may also contradict the values of the social worker or even the organization that the client is working, of the social worker is working for or representing. However, it is important at this stage that neither the social worker nor the client censor any of the solution which came to mind. They didn't think about it before. They are just there generating it. They are just there generating it. You get it? Then after considering solutions, the first one is identify the problem. Is there any problem? Yes, there is. Then number 2, we talk about number 2, talk about considering possible solutions. Considering as many as we can, we generate many of them. Then the number 3 is choose an alternative. From these we have generated, we choose one. You don't choose one for your clients. You are not the one to choose. To tell your clients the pros and the cons of each of these solutions you have arrived at, or these solution you are considering. You get it? Then number 3, you have to choose an alternative. The social worker and the client discuss each of the alternatives generate in stage 2. They discuss particularly the advantages and disadvantages of each possibility and then choose the alternative that the client prefers. You are not choosing for your client. You are not choosing for your client. He or she is the one that will choose the one that he or she prefers. He or she will determine which one he or she prefers. And that's that. That is the solution most suited to the needs, abilities, and values of the client system. Remember, in an actual case, the client has to decide for herself or himself. You are not the one that will decide for your client. Have that at the back of your mind. Then, the 4th stage, identify a solution and develop a plan of action. Now, you've gotten so many options. You are your client. Now you have identified the solution. Then develop a plan action. It is not that solution you have identified that will work on its own. You with your client, you have to decide, okay, how are you going to go about it? Is it weekly or daily or monthly? You get it? This is the stage of problem-solving process at which the social worker and the client set goals to enable the client to work towards a resolution of the problem. You are not the one that will work it for your client. But at this stage, you will agree what step are we going to do? What are we going to be doing at this develop a plan of action. Goals establish who will do what, by when, and how. When you establish your goals, it will establish who will do what, by who, by when, and how. The specific tasks will be accomplished. The proposed solution may be directed at individual change, maybe micro intervention. It may be an organizational or group change. That is meso. Remember when we talk about meso, we said the target change is for the organization, not individual. So it all depends on which level are you operating. Are you operating at the individual level or at the federal, at the meso level? So the proposed solution may be directed at individual change, that is micro level intervention, organizational or group change, that is meso level of intervention, and or community or social change, which is macro level of intervention. The plan of action may draw on the resources of the former social welfare system. The plan you have identified may have to do with you going to maybe police station or going to FIBAN. That is a former action. Maybe going to the hospital, going to the police station. All these are referred to as what? As the former social welfare system. They are former. So the plan of action may draw on the resources of former social welfare system and or the client's own social network. Client social network is not formal. Maybe his family, his friends, his church. Those ones are not, you get it. So it may draw on one of them or both of them. You get it, including the immediate and extended family, neighbors, or the community members, teachers, religious leaders, and friends. All these are the client's own social network. In considering solutions, it is also important that cultural factors and values be considered, because you must know what is against their culture and what is against their values. So you consider that too. The social worker needs to be sensitive to and take into account the client's tradition and cultural practice. So for you to achieve your aim, you must consider those two, so to not work against the plans you have on ground. That is identifying solution and develop a plan of action. The fifth one is implement the plan of action. Hello, is there anyone we didn't understand?
No, it's not. I just want to ask a question with regards to this identification I just talked about.
What number is that, please?
The one I just finished, this identity.
That is number 4.
Yes, identify a
4.
solution and develop a plan of action. Yeah.
Okay.
So if your client, because you said you have to let your clients be involved and decide, be in the decision making.
Yes.
Okay. If I'm dealing with, let's say, a child, right, who is considered a minor and cannot take decisions for herself. Let me use a case we've had before, in the case of child abuse. So the girl was staying with her mother's sister, who obviously was not taking care of the child. I met the child in school when I was doing my fieldwork practice. Okay, so the thing is, I know that when it's a minor, the parents has to be involved and be the major people that decide. But then the parents, the mother is like, please, I know that this thing is happening, but I can't do anything because my sister is the one that is doing this and doing that. for some other reason, she doesn't want to pursue the case. And you know that this thing is not in the best interest of this child. So you can't possibly just say, okay, my client have decided, let's just leave it like that. In a case like this, what should the person do? Considering the person that is serving as a decision maker for the child is deciding what is not good for the child.
Thank you, ma. You know, in that case, like what we hammer on mostly last week was on the best interest theory of the child. On the best interest, you know, in developed nation, even when the parent of the child is doing something that is not in the best interest of the child, they take the child from that parent and give the child to a foster parent until when the parent will come to their senses. So you can't say because the parents are not, you know, Mrs. Is it Mercy said something last week that until when the government come to the realization that the children belong to them, then we won't have much to do as social workers in the area of children. So even when the parents are not, or they are taking decision that is not in support of the child's welfare, you should take it up. Go to the necessary quarters and report the case. They can still come and take the child or invite the parent or the mother. Because if you keep quiet and say because the mother don't want to do anything, the decision the mother has taken is not in the best interest of the child. You get it, and that's why you are there as a social worker. You are there for the voiceless, and in that case, that child is voiceless. You are not to make arrest, but report the case where you should, and then the right thing will be done. Are we good to go?
All right, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. So we move straight to the fifth one, which is implement the plan of action. So you and your client, you have agreed what to do, how to do it. Now it is now left for the client to now implement it. The plan which has been agreed upon is implemented. It may involve change in terms of the individuals and or the environment. Maybe the client may have to leave where he is, may have to, you get it. During this phase, activities need to be monitored. That is when your own responsibility as a social worker comes in. You monitor. M&E, monitoring and evaluation. Activities need to be monitored regularly. Results assessed, and if necessary, modifications made. It is in the process of monitoring that you will know if there is going to be a modification. The involvement of the social worker and the client in this stage of the process consists of the social worker providing regular feedback, support, and an honest assessment of the progress of the problem-solving effort. Okay, after these 3 weeks, this is what you have achieved. You know, feedback from what you have observed from your monitoring and evaluation. From your, you know, that is that, M&E. Providing regular feedback, support, and an honest assessment of the progress of the problem-solving effort. The social worker work at enabling the client to use available resources, supporting the client's efforts at improved social functioning. The social worker may also work on behalf of the client to coordinate services that the clients may need. There are some services you can help him or her to coordinate for him or her to have access to such services. Plan and develop programs. Negotiate change in the environment. If it has to do with the environment, you can negotiate change for your client and advocate or lobby for social change. You can lobby for social change. You know, you can lobby for something to be put in place let me say, for example, now your client work in a place and he is on a wheelchair. You can tell the organization, can we have what do we call this slopey, something that the wheelchair can easily climb without anybody carrying your client. You can just, advocate for that, negotiate change in the environment and advocate or lobby for the social change. And after this stage 6, stage 5 might have been taken, then we go to the final stage, which is stage 6. And that has to do with what? Evaluate the process and the outcome. Evaluate the process and the outcome. It is crucial to evaluate both the process and the outcome of the problem solving which has taken place. Social workers have to be accountable for what they do, and it is obviously important to assess whether the outcome has been helpful. That is, whether the problem-solving process has helped to resolve or change the client's problem situation. However, even if the outcome goals were not achieved, it is important to evaluate why the goals were not accomplished and how to avoid similar mistakes in the problem-solving process. Help the social worker to assess the experience from the client's perspectives and occurs continuously throughout the process. So that is the last stage of the 6 stages of problem solving. I'll be drawing the curtain here, and I wish you the best, except anybody has a question, because this is a 2:36 instead of 2:30. So anybody from what you have said concerning the 6 stages of problem solving? Questions?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Emene Claret, sir.
I can see that, Emene Claret. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, sir. You? Okay. So, thank you so much for your lecture. I really appreciate you, sir. Sir, there is another materials that they brought to us, 606. I don't know if that one is among this program. Good social work.
Who sent that to you?
They send it on our platform, Dr. Atere.
When was that sent to you?
Like 2 weeks ago, sir. So I don't know if it's among this program. Good social work is social. So I don't know if it's among.
How many pages?
So it's menu, but not that much anyway.
On this same platform?
In our WhatsApp platform, sir.
This platform now, this platform?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you send to me, please?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I'll send it to you.
Send it to me. Send it to me.
Let me know if it's among this program.
Just send to me. Send to me, please.
It's okay, sir. So you're on the WhatsApp, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sir. Let me send it to you, sir.
You see my name. You may not, because you have not seen, so you may not see my picture is there, but you may not know me.
Okay.
Because we are not showing ourselves.
Okay.
Okay, you can send that to me. My number ends with 446.
Yeah.
446. Just send to me. And I'll get back to you.
It's okay, sir.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Shole Bejule.
Yeah. Thanks for the class, sir. I have a question, sir.
Okay, sir.
Under this micro level practice, is a spot where it says policy social welfare officer could influence policy, changing the society.
Did you say micro?
Under macro level practice.
Okay, I'm hearing you.
Under macro level practice, is a spot that says the social welfare officer has the ability to to influence policy, changing the society positively. So I wanted to ask if, as a social welfare, as a social worker, sir, do you have does the social worker have the ability to write memo to House of Assemblies, like maybe there's an epidemic ravaging the society? An example is like blocking pornography from the internet spaces because children have access to pornography because of phones that they could access easily. In fact, is devastating. Do social workers have those power to do that?
Mr. Shola? Hello, sir.
I can hear you clearly.
You raised this question during the course of this lecture, and we answered it. That social worker at macro level is not an individual voice. And we can as well have an individual which is big enough to represent the entire social work in Nigeria. For example, when you have a renowned, one renowned professor we have in Nigeria is Wole Soyinka. Wole Soyinka can say something, that can influence policy. You get it? In Nigeria, in his area, or in his field, or in education. But what we leverage on as a social worker for now, we have a voice, because it is only at the macro level that you can talk about policy implementation and influencing policy. And what we have in Nigeria now is the Chartered Institute of Social Work Practitioners of Nigeria. Whatever we see or we identify as social workers under this umbrella, we can bring it to fore to the policy makers. It will come as the social workers influencing policy making, either on pornography or whichever way. Remember, during the course of this lecture, we talk about not regarding the issue of women, what is it called now? Sexual harassment. It was not seen as something that should be seen as a social problem, until when a collection of women association came together and they demonstrated in the 70s, and that brought it to the front burner of policymakers, and that made it what? A crime. When we are talking about different definition of problem, we are talking about subjective and objective definition of problem. I believe you can still remember that during the course of this lecture. Yes, so it is what if social work, if C-ISOWN should should present something to the government and that is implemented. It is this social work at the macro level bringing about implementation, bringing about change in an existing policy. I'm not saying an individual, although there's an individual that could be bigger or big enough as an organization. And the person must be a member of the organization or association that he is speaking for. For example, when the president of C-ISOWN, Professor Bashoro, was talking, they know that it is social work that is talking in Nigeria. You get it? When the pro tem secretary is saying something or she says something in the newspaper, I'm telling you, many social workers and the government will want to look at it, that what are social work workers in Nigeria say. So that talks about the macro level trying to implement or to influence policy formulation in Nigeria. I don't know if you understand that. Hello, sir.
Sir?
I said I don't know if I've been able to say something about that. About your point.
You have thrown light on it and I have heard it clearly.
Thank you so much.
God bless you, sir.
Amen. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. I think on this note, we can call it quits. Except anybody has another question for us.
Yes, I have. Sir, can you still do revision for us since I didn't join from the beginning of this class, please?
Jesus Christ. Revision is very expensive, madam.
Before.
Revision.
Sorry, sir. Before the exam, maybe you schedule a time for us, please, sir.
Please, sir. We enjoy your lecture. Please.
Madam Mercy, you are talking. Madam Praise.
Yes.
Sir, please, we need it.
I am
please,
like a sponge. I want to soak up the knowledge from you.
I better go.
I enjoyed the lecture. I actually enjoyed your lectures.
Honestly.
All the teachers in this platform, they are wonderful.
Very wonderful.
Yes. I think you have been doing this over the years.
Yeah.
Please. So that we can pass. So we want to pass. We don't want to repeat the class.
Let's see what we have.
Repeat. The
exam is
revision.
The exam is
fifth class.
The exam is 5th. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
5th of May.
5th of July.
Sorry, 5th
of July.
Yes,
but
sir.
you know that we can't finish revision of this class in a single day. In a 2-hour class.
Wow.
We can't do it in a 2-hour class. Do you know that?
Sir, we can, or if we can. We can.
You say we can.
Yes, sir.
We can, sir. We can. It's just to point.
Sir, please, we can. But
point now, not detailed
explanation. Okay.
Thank you.
I will arrange with the IT person.
Okay, sir.
To what now? To arrange a class for us. That is to schedule a Zoom class.
Yeah.
But we have to also speak with when do we want it? Because I'm occupied in office. I have so much. I'm the HOD in my department.
Oh.
So
let it be on a Saturday, sir. Please, sir.
One more time.
No, next week, for example, this next week Saturday, I will be on a training in Uyo.
Oh,
okay.
The training is starting from Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We are coming back on Sunday.
Okay.
So this next week Saturday we're talking about.
Yes.
So I'll be coming back on the 22nd.
Okay.
Then your presentation is slated for 28, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Yes, that 28 I think is Friday. No, 28 is what? 22nd is Sunday.
I think it's
28 is Saturday, sir.
Friday. No, it can't be. 28. Okay, it's Saturday.
Yes, sir.
You can now see that the following Saturday is also fixed.
Yes, sir.
So
what about Sunday?
Yes, on Sunday, sir, if possible.
Seminar presentation.
After the seminar presentation on the 28th?
Yes, on a Sunday, 29th.
Anytime, even if
29th, Abby?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Let me check my
schedule
and I will get back to you.
It's okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Sir.
Yeah.
Please, sir, to send the materials, especially the record.
Yeah, I will speak with the IT person to get me the recorded lectures for all the courses and repost.
Very good.
On the system, on the platform.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah,
thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye. Bye. Sir, God bless you.
Bye, man. Thank you.
What are you saying?
Thank you, sir.
Onyakoya, we take him. All the things you have taken today, you have vomited them. Get Nachagi black in Aka here.